Tonight we're driving the 2024 Jeep Gladiator Mojave X. I've been really excited to drive this because this is the high-speed desert running version of the Jeep Gladiator. It has Fox dampers. It's a little bit more oriented toward high-speed off-road duty versus the Rubicon, which is a little bit more catered to rock crawling. We have a 3.6-liter V6 that makes 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. That's made into an 8-speed automatic transmission. It has full-time four-wheel drive, part-time four-wheel drive, 4-low, a locking rear differential, no front sway bar disconnect or anything like that, like the Rubicon, but this is still a very capable Jeep. We have a set of Falken AT3W tires on here in 285/70 R17s. Those are proper 33-inch tires, though from what I've seen on these Jeep Gladiators, you can easily fit 35s on here stock, and some owners are even able to wedge 37s on here with a minimal 1-inch lift on these Jeeps. So you can really go crazy with your tire sizes. I don't know if the 3.6-liter V6 quite has the power to handle that much tire, but if you want it, you could probably make it happen. This starts at $65 grand, and this particular truck that we're driving tonight is spec'd to over $71,000. However, I don't really expect many people to be paying that, if at all, just because there are some pretty hefty discounts on these trucks from the dealer lots, and you can go out and buy a Gladiator Mojave that's only a few years old for under 40 grand these days. So it's actually a pretty good deal on the used market. Let's hop inside, we'll start it up, we'll talk about what it's been like to live with this week, and we'll take it for a drive and give you guys some driving impressions. So everything in here is very familiar looking. It looks just like the Jeep Wrangler. That's because this basically is a Jeep Wrangler with some slightly different rear suspension and a much longer wheelbase with a 5-foot truck bed on the back. So here's all of your transfer case controls. You've got 2 high, 4 high auto, 4 high, neutral, and 4 low. You've got a physical handbrake, love that. Rear axle locker. This Off-Road Plus mode, which we'll be testing out later this week, lets you have a little bit of fun in the dirt. We have auto stop start, which I turn off every time I start up this car just because it is pretty sluggish to kick this 3.6-liter V6 back on. Gauges, steering wheel, an updated infotainment for the 2024 model year. This Uconnect system has actually been pretty good this week. Contrary to my experience with some other Uconnects recently, this hasn't been too buggy. It's actually been quite nice to live with. We get a forward-facing camera, a rear-facing camera, trail cameras, though strangely when you put this in reverse, we don't get a 360 camera. We just you can switch between forward and reverse cameras, which I guess is fine. You can fold down the windscreen, you can take the roof panels off, make this a convertible truck, and it even comes as a 6-speed manual, though honestly, I'd probably prefer the 8-speed automatic in this. We have wireless CarPlay connections, lots of physical controls. Window switches are all centrally located here. We've got a couple compartments here in the center console / armrest area. Another USB port in there. Some storage. Let's hop out and walk you around the rest of this truck. So this has a 60-inch 5-foot bed. This does have a bed cover on it, which is kind of nice. I'm actually not really sure how this works. It looks like you just slide these out and then this folds back. There we go. Nice. And then this just kind of those fold in, and then you just secure it that way, but we're not going to go all the way tonight. Really nice Bedliner. The only thing I'm noticing though, compared to a lot of the other trucks in this segment, this is just a very short bed. It's not very tall. There's not a lot of height to it if you have a cover over it. Just something to think about and note there. Otherwise, pretty nice big usable space. You got 115 volt, 400 watt outlet right there. Bed lights. There's where you can put your roof panels. And this bed cover from Mopar looks pretty high quality. Pretty easy to secure as well. There we go. Tailgate is nice and light. You've got recovery hooks in the back. The standard Gladiator can tow up to 7,700 pounds. This can only tow 4,500 pounds. And part of that is due to the slightly softer suspension from these Fox dampers. As you can see, we have a massive remote reservoir in the back here. One observation is that these Falken AT3Ws are a super wide 285 compared to the tires on my Ranger Raptor, which is the KO3, same exact tire size. These are noticeably wider, and we've got a little bit of pinch there with the wheel too, which is kind of what you want for an off-road wheel and tire setup. You don't want a wider wheel and a skinnier tire. You want a skinnier wheel and a wider tire so that you reduce the risk of de-beating. You've got removable bumpers, steel in the front and the back. Get these pretty high mounted rock sliders right here. Lots of underbody protection. Steel rear bumper, and then in the back, I really like this. You've got these sliders right here, just under this portion of the bed. I think your biggest obstacle to overcome in this Jeep Gladiator is just going to be breakover angle. The wheelbase here is so long, that's going to be kind of a problem off-road. You're basically trading off some rock crawling capability and breakover angle for better on-road manners. This, I think, is the best driving Jeep product between the Wranglers, even the 392 I've driven on the road. It's super stable, it's super comfortable, it handles well, it's not very wallowy and vague, it's actually quite sharp to drive on the street for a Jeep. And part of that is just due to the long wheelbase and extra stability granted by this Jeep's packaging. Also, this looks fantastic in this Sarge green. Plenty of room in the back seat. I can really stretch out here. A little bit more space, it feels like, than some of the competitors, actually. Jeep did not skimp on rear seat room. I'm 5'10", this is my driving position. I have a good amount of headroom too. There is quite a lot of height to these roof panels. Overall, an attractive, nicely designed, and functional interior here with this Jeep Gladiator. I like that we get rear climate vents too. All right, so we've got proper off-road tires, suspension, pretty much all the running gear that you would expect from a proper trail-rated product. Or actually, it doesn't say trail-rated, it says desert-rated. And then we've got the engine from a minivan. So let's take a look at that. It is not very efficient, rated at 17 miles to the gallon in the city, 22 on the highway. Good luck with that. You'll be lucky if you average even 17. The best I've been able to manage this week is about 18 miles to the gallon on the highway, but for the most part, I've been averaging about 15 or 16 in the combined cycle. The V6 here is fine. It's been in these products for a long time. I think it's pretty bulletproof. Takes 0W20 oil. It sounds nice, kicks down quickly, it works well with the 8-speed automatic. There's not a ton of torque here. It's not the most interesting powertrain, but it sounds industrial, it fits the character of this Jeep, and it just works. All right, let's hop inside. I think that's a pretty decent walk around. Let's take this for a drive. All right, putting us into reverse. There's a reverse camera again. Good visibility all the way around. Quick hello to Savage Geese. I do like the steering at lower speeds. It's got a lightness to it. It's very satisfying. And it feels just a little bit tighter and more connected than the Wrangler steering rack. You definitely feel that this is riding on a set of squishy all-terrain tires. The V6 does need to work to get you going, but at least this 8-speed kicks down really fast. I'll show you what that feels like once we get on the highway here in a second. There are no drive modes in this Gladiator, just off-road plus mode. Really comfortable suspension here. On the road at normal speeds, this soaks up bumps beautifully. turn signal has a really nice satisfying clunk to it. Good amount of resistance. And I'm actually kind of surprised at how well this handles. It feels pretty good around a corner. So much more confidence than the Wrangler in this Gladiator. No pedal shifters or anything like that. You do get some manual gear control down here, and it is the proper direction. Forward to downshift, back to upshift. I like the cruise control layout here too. You get your adaptive cruise control right here, and your regular cruise control right here. Jeep's done this for a while, and it's a great system. You change your following distance right here very quickly. The closest following distance is surprisingly close in this Gladiator. It works well. Let's talk highway noise, because this is a little bit louder than some other trucks in the segment, but honestly, with the removable hardtop, it's not that bad. I'm mostly hearing tire noise from these AT3Ws. Above 75 miles an hour, it gets a little bit loud in here, but otherwise it's pretty livable. I spent a couple hours driving this on the highway earlier today, and I didn't leave it feeling like I had a headache like I did in the Bronco Raptor a few weeks ago. So actually a pretty decent highway cruiser. Again, you'll average about 18 miles to the gallon, and those AT3Ws do kind of roar away at speed. But we have a decent sound system here. You can drown some of it out with that. And just the inherent nature of this being a Jeep, lacking a lot of sound deadening, it is just going to be a little bit louder. I'd say this is probably about 5 or 6 decibels louder at speed than my Ranger Raptor. This is still the only truck in the segment with a solid front axle. Everything else has gone to independent front suspension, and that has its pros and cons. It's hard to beat the articulation from a solid axle vehicle for off-roading and rock crawling. I'm very curious to see how this does in a high-speed off-road environment with suspension articulation with these Fox shocks. It should be pretty good. I don't think it's quite going to hold a candle to the Ranger Raptor's Fox live valve dampers, but we'll see. It might be pretty close. On road though, all you guys need to know is that this drives great. It drives about as normal as I've ever felt a Jeep handle and ride on road. You're not really compromising as much as you are here at all compared to the Wrangler Rubicon or something like that, or even the Wrangler 392, which is the best driving Wrangler. That initial vagueness, that softness on center is much improved here with this Gladiator. You can hear a little bit more wind and tire noise here at a higher speed. Brakes feel good, no complaints there. I mean, at the end of the day, this is, I think, a pretty cool truck. It's got good looks, it's got good off-road credentials. It's my favorite Jeep to drive. You get the practicality of a pickup. It's a bit longer than all the other vehicles in its class, but that's because Jeep didn't want to compromise on interior space. And I like that. You've got the Toyota Tacoma now, which basically has a useless back seat if you have a family. The Ranger Raptor is pretty spacious, and the Colorado is pretty spacious. For the capability that this Gladiator offers, I think you're getting pretty good value there. Nice bumpy section of road here, soaking it up in stride. see what kind of vehicle info we have here. So we have our speed, tire pressures, some off-road pages, adaptive cruise control, fuel economy, trip info. For the last 117 miles, I've averaged 15.8 mpg. That's kind of a decent mix of city and highway, a little bit more highway. Stop-start status, audio, messages, screen setup, and our speedo again. Let's find a little off-road section of road here. It's kind of rough, kind of bumpy, just to kind of give you a taste of what this can do on a bumpy section of road. We're going to switch into 4-high auto, and all we have to do there is just pull back on our transfer case lever into the first position, and it immediately engages. Love that. It's really nice to be able to engage four-wheel drive on the fly. Let's say it's raining, you hit a patch of snow, or a little bit of weather, and you can just do that at speed, on the go, no problem. All right, so it's looking a little bit wet, a little bit muddy here, but we should be able to get through this no problem. The suspension is just soaking all this stuff up beautifully. I love it. Go through this mud hole here. It's not too deep. We've got some nice big ruts to test out these Fox dampers. I don't think we've hit any jounce damper yet. Yeah, that feels nice. Definitely not as soft at lower speeds like this as the Ranger Raptor, but still really composed, really nice and controlled. These seats are comfortable. Yeah, this is going to be a really nice vehicle off-road. I think there was a jounce damper right there. Nice. We'll swing this around here so we're not following this F-150. Due to the length of this truck, you are going to be doing more 3 or 4 point turns in this. Feel the difference with these Fox dampers. It feels pretty good. Let's walk you guys around this one more time. Thank you so much for watching. That's going to be a first impressions drive on the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. It looks like for some reason our bed light is on. Let's turn that off. There we go. Good. See the interior a little bit better with these interior lights. These are nice and bright. I like that. These trucks look so good on 35s and 37s. We see them pretty often around here in the Metro Detroit area. I think overall, just a really nice addition in the segment. And kind of a forgotten vehicle also, with all the new entries from Chevrolet and Ford and Toyota. I don't think as many people consider the Gladiator, but I don't know, this has a lot of personality. I quite like living with this Jeep. It's been a fun vehicle to spend time in this week. And if you can find a good deal on one, I think it'd make a pretty good buy. All right. And you know what? If you're still watching, let's go ahead and end with a sound system test. Why not? We get volume and track selection controls behind the steering wheel, as well as this big honking volume knob right here. Sound system is all right. Some of it is clear, some of it, the bass gets a little bit muddy. Kind of depends on what type of music you're listening to, but overall you should be able to get a pretty good idea of what this sounds like if you're listening with headphones. Alright guys, that's all I have to say about the Jeep Gladiator for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.